Hi there folks, I'm Colin. Over the next few minutes I'm going to be sharing with you some ideas and concepts around a growth mindset. And what do I mean by that? Well, as we start to create some changes in our life, it can be quite bumpy because we obviously doing something brand new. I mean, creativity is doing something that's never been done before. A lot of people will say, well, it's thinking out the box. No, for me, it's being out the box. And when we start doing something we haven't done before, there's a lot of uncertainty. There can be sort of fear that we have to look at things that that we've never looked at before. So a growth mindset will help us sort of guide us through these challenging times. I've got four aspects to a growth mindset. I call them the elements of beingness, and I'm going to share with you each one on its own. They're all highly interrelated. The first element is that of humility. And folks, humility itself, it's probably what life teaches us as we get older and older. But I suppose the best way to describe what humility is about and why it's so powerful in terms of a growth mindset is around this one story. There's the story of the scholar and the master. And the scholar goes to see the master, and the scholar is telling the master how much he has learnt and propounding and orating about everything that he has learnt, and almost to the degree that he's saying, I think I've discovered enlightenment, master, and if I'm not there, I'm just nearly there. And the master's listening, and he starts to pour tea for the student. And as he's pouring, he's listening to the student that's carrying on and on about how enlightened he is. And eventually the tea gets to the brim of the teacup and spills over, and now it's sort of all over the tabletop. And the student goes, Master, stop. You can't add anything to something that is already full. And the master stops pouring and quietly looks at the student and goes, exactly. And I think that is what humility encompasses. It's about, for me, for example, realizing that at any given time, I don't know everything. There's always something to learn. It doesn't mean I'm not good enough, because that's not humility. Humility is not hammering ourselves. I think it was said in the book Egonomics by Markham Smith that humility is that intelligent self-respect where we don't think too much of ourselves or too little. It's that fine balance. So for me, the best way I can say it is that humility is, I am good enough, but I don't know anything, and there's something to learn in whatever I'm dealing with right now. And I think that's really how it can help one through dealing with the growth phases, the pain of growth. Because with humility, I step into that space of going, I don't know everything. There is a bigger picture, and maybe I'm part of a bigger picture I don't understand, and it will reveal itself in due course. And that helps me just let go a bit. I realize I'm never in control the whole time, and the act of humility is really a powerful beingness. A wonderful question one can ask oneself, especially when it comes to humility, is to ask yourself, what does life require of me right now? And I think that is the highest form of humility, is when it's not about me. It's about the bigger picture, and how can I make a difference to the bigger picture? The second element of beingness is that of vulnerability. Now, Brené Brown does some incredible TED Talks. I would suggest you go and have a look and see what she has to say. She is the master of vulnerability. Traditionally, vulnerability, along with humility, have been seen as weaknesses, I would say, in the corporate world. It's like bringing the Bible into the brothel, so to speak. And I feel that vulnerability itself is an incredibly powerful tool, especially working with change. First of all, as we work with change, there is that uncertainty, that discomfort. Now, if we think we're going to go in and deal with change without having that, we're not going to really grow. Growth is through the pain. Unfortunately, no pain, no gain. And vulnerability is that ability to open up and feel the pain, feel the discomfort, feel the uncertainty, feel the not knowing of whether you're going to make it or not. This, I feel, and it's along the lines of what Brené Brown says as well, is where we discover true courage. True courage can only be discovered with vulnerability. In the old days, people would armor up. That was the way to stay strong. But I think in this current world we live in, it's about taking the armor off and about feeling, and through that feeling, we are going to move a lot more gracefully through the process of change. Some really powerful reflective questions one can ask around vulnerability is to ask yourself, can I allow myself to feel this discomfort and really accept that this discomfort is part of the change? How can I be more courageous as I face these challenges? And yes, vulnerability, very powerful element of beingness. The third element of beingness is honesty to oneself. This is when you look in the mirror, folks, especially when you're going through the challenges and the changes. It helps with growth because when we are honest with ourselves, we can start breaking through the masks. We wear so many masks to ensure that we are validated by society, and there's a lot of depth to this. But when we are honest with ourselves, we can start asking really tough questions. Why am I behaving this way? Why do I feel so scared? What fear is it that I'm feeling right now? A lot of our fears can tie into base fears, fear of rejection, fear of loneliness. As we begin to work with the challenges and we are honest with ourselves, we are looking in the mirror and we are starting to form that very close relationship with ourselves. And even though if you don't have the answer there and then or as immediately, what happens when you ask a question, it may arise later on. The answer may come to you later on. So through honesty, it is a very powerful tool of beingness, and especially when you sort of focus on your heart center and you ask yourself these really tough questions, the answers will eventually come. Finally, the fourth element of beingness is that of accountability. Folks, very powerful aspect as well, along with humility, vulnerability, and honesty to oneself. When we are accountable, there's no blame, there's no judgment, no matter what is happening. For us to grow, if we're blaming everybody else for whatever's happening in our life, we are not growing. And a lot of us try and discharge that pain by blaming somebody. We want somebody else to be accountable for whatever's happening in our life. A truly growth, when you're working with a growth mindset, to be accountable, what is happening right now? And I think Viktor Frankl kind of alluded to it when he said, and I'm not going to quote him, but in his one book, Man's Search for Meaning, he talks about how, a lot of men are out there searching for the meaning of life, and they're looking to life to give that answer. Meanwhile, life's looking back at them and kind of going, no, it is up to you. In fact, I'm asking you the question, what is your meaning of life? I'm looking to you for the answer. So another way of putting it, accountability, is when we stop saying, so how's life treating you? Instead, we start saying, how are you treating life? And I feel accountability, when you're making changes, no matter what happens, you are accountable for how you get through that. No one else is to blame. You're not even to blame. You don't even blame yourself, because that's not humility. It is simply taking accountable and accepting this is where I am, and this is how I'm going to move through it. Some reflective questions you can ask is simply this. What can I do right now to make a difference in this scenario that I am in? And I feel that is a very powerful question. And even if you don't get the answer, you'll be amazed. Somewhere down the line, the answer will come. So folks, those are the four elements of beingness. It requires awareness to step into humility, to become more vulnerable, to be honest with oneself, and to be accountable. And give it a go. You might just find that journey, that really bumpy journey, just softens a little. It may still be difficult, but not as difficult. So until we chat again, folks, take care and stay aware.